concern or a narrative, all kinds of stuff. And so this is simply called conscious breathing. And when I studied with Thich Nhat Hanh, we spent a very, very long time doing it. They'd ring the bell and we'd breathe. And then they'd ring the bell later and then we would have a conversation. Wouldn't last long. And then they'd ring the bell and you'd go back into your meditation, into your conscious breathing. And he reminded us that we inter-are. That there's only one here. And we are that one. So it takes you out of the local consciousness of me and my story and my narrative into a collective consciousness where we are one with everyone. There is a song that says, I look at life from both sides now. I used to look at the side that there was me dealing with the world, but now we are the world. We're not separate. Richard was sharing with us in the revealing service how when he goes in nature, he feels the divine presence in nature. And I said, how beautiful is that? Ralph Waldo Emerson called nature a mute gospel. In other words, without any words at all, it is preaching to us that we inter-are. A man came up to my front door yesterday and he was pounding on it, and Trey opened the door and he said, I have to tell you, you have the most beautiful garden I've ever seen. He hadn't been in a place that was so outrageously floriferous before. And I said, thank you. One man's floriferous jungle is another person's, you need to get this thing under control. And at this stage, I'm learning to accept the things I cannot change and the wisdom to know the difference. And so as we enter into this journey called life, the invitation is to stop long enough to see the good, the God in everything. He who can see God in the smallest of things is better than seeing an angel. As I walked into the front door at the center this morning, there's a beautiful lily that's bursting forth with her orange sassy blossoms. I was going to pick the blossom, but I thought, no, she needs to be the greeting person outside the door. And so I smiled. And of course, when I pull in my parking slot, the bird flies right over to the mirror and she looks at herself and she says, you finally brought my car home so I can spend the Sunday sitting here looking at myself and doing other things. And so I realized that we're all part of this beautiful experience called life. And the invitation is to evolve and grow. Evolve and grow. We were talking about God in the revealing service this morning. And Anastasia had an acronym for GOD. I can't remember.
Great outdoors.
Great outdoors. Thank you, darling. And I had to laugh and bless you. So could we get a whole new idea of what this God thing is? It's not a man in the sky with a naughty and nice list. No, it's the great outdoors. It's the good. It's the overflowing divine juiciness of every moment. And when you begin to shift out of this separate entity called God and you realize that all there is God, which is the quantum reality, then the very air that we breathe is spirit. Breathing in, I breathe in, and breathing out, I breathe out. And we're all sharing the same spirit, the same air. And then what happens is the mind shifts. That's right, Herman, the mind shifts. There's not a me and a you. There is only that one presence experiencing itself in multiplicity. That's right. That's right. Tell it like it is. And when you open to that, sweet connection to the moment, then you realize that time is an illusion. Then the past falls away. It's just a memory. The future falls away. It's just a fantasy. And we're left with the eternal now. Holy cow, is that sacred or not? And in this moment, we open our hearts. We open our minds. And we say, yes, beloved. Use me. Show me. Teach me. I am open and ready. Yes, for our inner beingness to express, to reveal, and to surprise, to be endlessly surprised. I find myself smiling because this is the moment the Lord has made. I want to rejoice and be glad in it as we learn to see things in a new way. And so take a deep integrating breath and give a sigh for the divine. And I'm going to invite Kelly and Bob up here because they've created a song that I think would be nice to launch us into a different way of seeing. Richard, when he discovered that we were called the Center for Spiritual Living, he said, oh my God, there's a place that I could go. It's not a religion. He said when he was a little boy and 8 years old, the Baptist preacher said, you're all sinners and you're going to burn in hell. And he, as a little 8-year-old, he was terrified. Well, can you imagine taking a child to that place? But now we're looking at things in a new way. And when we come to the center, we want to feel uplifted and a deeper connection. Thomas knows what I'm talking about, to that something that we all are. And so let's play a little bit. What do you say?
Rows and rows of angel hair and ice-cream castles in the air, and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I could do clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's clouds illusions I recall. I really don't know. Moons and Junes and fearless winds, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave them laughing when you go, and if you can, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at life from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's life's illusions I recall. I really don't know why at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way. But now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed.
Thank you so much. That really speaks to my soul. You know, we're all raised to think a certain way. They just sang the song Both Sides Now. I look at life from both sides now. And I was raised to think a certain way, you know, and boy, that didn't get me anywhere. I have all these degrees that don't mean anything. And yet, when I went to a center for spiritual living in Atlanta, I heard a message that changed my life. Something I didn't really want to hear, because it was basically saying you create your own reality. And there's not some power out here that does it to you. No, it's who you choose to be. And so I began to discover a teaching called The Science of Mind. And it was Dr. Ernest Holmes. And he was a bit of a rebel. He studied with Mary Baker Eddy. You know, she had this healing. And he took that healing to heart. And I brought the essential Ernest Holmes, and he did this whole new thing called religious science. And it spoke to my soul because it didn't have any of that old time religion. Hey, Karen, it had none of that old time religion, but it did have the truth, the way he understood it. And so I pulled this book out. It's every page is underlined copiously. And I mean, there's not a spare inch on it, but I just give you a taste of Ernest Holmes, because he speaks to my soul here. That's right, Herman. You make yourself comfortable. He said, he who dares to turn to truth with a capital T, then truth alone will say to you, thy will be done, and it will open the door to paradise. Well, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. He who denies the truth must live without the good that truth might bring forth from the heaven within him. So when Jesus spoke, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and the truth will set you free, it's an inside job, Thomas, but you have to be willing to look. He goes on to say, but truth itself will suffer no defeat. And like a tree upon the desert's edge, wind blown, sand scoured, and buffeted by age, can stand alone against the ravages of life, of time, and still hold life within itself. So is the man upheld by this truth with a capital T down to his roots. So he's inviting us to go within and discover a truth. Michael, you're doing this all the time, but you have to be willing to go there. So is the man upheld by truth? His roots run so deep and drink their fill from the hidden springs of the source. Yet few there be who claim this heritage. So discard your traditions, blight, and choose to live as a free soul. For one with truth is better than 10,000 bowing to a golden calf within the wilderness of ignorance. I wonder, what is he referring to, Judy Graff? So someone who seeks the truth will discover something so much bigger than all that stuff that we've been told as a child. So are you willing to step out of your fantasy and see things in a new way? That was a poem that he wrote. So he asked then the question, how much grace, peace, love, and wonder are we willing to accept? Oh gosh, Thomas. And that much, only that much we can have. So are you willing to accept a whole new way of looking at life? You looked at life from both sides now. Meister Eckhart said, you have to kill God to know God. Get rid of the Santa Claus God that has the naughty and nice list. You don't need to be on that. He says, we believe in an absolute, unconditional first cause that's operating spontaneously in the universe. He calls it first cause. And he says, it possesses everything that is necessary to create anything that is ever going to be. Well, we're asked to step into a direct experience of the mystery of belonging to the universe, Thomas, the one life. We know that the consciousness of presence with a capital P, and you know, what if God is a presence that you can feel anywhere? Herman's walking around the sanctuary. You can feel the presence in love right there. So there's the manifestation in the form of a dog. And you know what dog spelled backwards is? I'm just saying. So we know that the consciousness of presence, the motivation of love, and the feeling of desire to give partakes of nature and the original givingness of the universe and brings back into wholeness that which seemed to be sheared off. So when we start having a direct experience of resonance, we're having a direct experience of our inner beingness that Thich Nhat Hanh talked about. Everything then seeks this wholeness as the river seeks the ocean. He's using metaphor. So what if, I love this metaphor, if you are a drop in the ocean of life and your ocean is being pulled toward the ocean of the oneness, and you arrive at the ocean, the river dissolves into the ocean, and there you are. You're part of the ocean of life. Are you a drop in that ocean? But within the drop, the whole ocean exists. Again, metaphor. So he says, people think that we are materializing spirit or spiritualizing matter, or that we are influencing lower planes into higher planes, and there is no such thing. So let's get rid of the illusion, Miss Judy. And he says this, dangerous because the misunderstanding. Science of mind is not a get-rich-quick scheme. We do not teach that you can get what you want here. Science of mind does not promise something for nothing. It does, however, tell us that we comply with a spiritual law, and then the law will also comply with us. So what you sow is what you're going to reap. If you sow loving thoughts, you're going to reap a loving experience. Isn't that right, Herman? So we demonstrate today, tomorrow, and the next day is not as important as the tendency which our thought is taking. So what if the tendency is to show up for the moment and bring your very best attention to that moment? Anyway, if each day we are expressing more life, then we are going in the right direction. So we just have this moment, and could we make this moment sacred? I had this one little section I wanted to share, but I don't know where it was. When it's all underlined, it's kind of crazy. Man's consciousness of God constitutes his real and immortal self. So there is really only one man viewed from the universal sense. But in this one, or the grand man, as it has been called, there are innumerable persons. So each is in a direct relationship to the whole. Each is an image of this divine presence. But this divine presence is not lessened by being represented in innumerable forms and through limitless numbers of mentalities, any more than the figure 5 would be exhausted by being used in innumerable mathematics equations. So he's saying that we're all part of this bigger something, and it is impossible to plumb the depths of the individual mind, because the individual mind is not an individual, but is an individualized expression of the one mind. Ooh, we're stepping into that bigger place of awareness. Behind the individual is the universal. He's trying to push us over the cliff there, which has no limit. You're looking at it in both sides now. It's not me and the source. No, it's the source as me, the source as everything. Everyone, then he says, is universal on the subjective side of life. The subjective is the invisible side. The objective is what we're looking at. So on the subjective, we're all part of the one. And individual only at the point of our conscious perception. And let's see. Okay. What it does. I think I've had enough Ernest Holmes. Oh, well, let me just give you this little bit. He says, there is a universal wholeness seeking expression through everything. And we are calling it simply life with a capital L. The religionists call it God. The philosophers call it reality. And life is an infinite energy coupled with limitless creative imagination. So it is this invisible essence and substance of every visible form. He's taking us into that place of that what we are, look at Herman, is a spiritual being. Having a dog experience, having a human experience. It's the beloved, Raoul. Its nature is goodness, truth, wisdom, and beauty, as well as energy and imagination. And our highest satisfaction comes from a sense of conscious union, when we know that we are connected to this something that is transcendent, but it moves through us. With this invisible life, all human endeavor then is an attempt to get back to our first principle, to find such an inward wholeness. It wants to dance through us, it wants to sing through us, it wants to create through us. And all sense of fear, doubt, and uncertainty then vanish. So could we but comprehend this simple fact that there is a power that makes things directly out of itself by simply becoming the thing that it makes? Could we but grasp this greatest truth about life itself and realize that we are dealing with a principle with a capital P, scientifically correct and eternally present, then we could accomplish whatever it is possible for us to conceive. Life externalizes at the level of our thought. And then he goes on to build a whole teaching, which is why we take Science of Mind classes. So Ernest Holmes is asking us to look at things in a new certain way, not the old way. And it's so funny, that was done a very long time ago. This month in our Science of Mind magazine, John Waterhouse, my friend, he dedicated every single day to an understanding and a redefining of how we can face this new way of looking at life. And so I'm going to give you a more current way of looking at it. He starts on July 7th. He talks about the kingdom of heaven. And he quotes Ernest Holmes. We believe that the kingdom of heaven is within, as Jesus said. And Jesus said it's within and it's all around. So he said Jesus in Luke 17 says the heaven as a state of consciousness that is right here and now and is always available to us. And we're supposed to seek that first. So there's an invitation to go to this creative something within Anastasia, and it is the source of our inspiration. When you do your pages, ask the kingdom to speak and tell you what to do. That's what I'm doing now. So he says, this being so, we must have within our being the attributes of a divine presence, a peace and a power and a beauty and a joy, love, light, and wisdom. And this means that we cannot earn heaven. Instead, that we must awaken to it from within our own consciousness. So that's why we do our morning pages. That's why we, smile at our neighbor, because the kingdom in me meets the kingdom in you. And in that place, we are one. So could we play with these invisible somethings that are greater than the old way of thinking, Thomas? He goes on to say, we are being called to take personal responsibility for becoming ever more aware of our own divine nature through our practices like meditation, prayer, daily mindfulness, and in so doing, we align with a higher reality, allowing it to awaken that heavenly harmony at the center of our own being. And as a result, external conditions lose their grip on our life experience, and then peace prevails. We don't take the storm on the outside and put it on the inside. No, we take this peace that's within and we offer it to the world, which might seem to be in chaos. So it's always an inside job. And then if you can find someone who is aligned to that peace, like this little dog right here at my feet, I can just tune in. That's called Tantra. To have someone that you can, I go to the trees sometime in the garden, Thomas, and I put my arms around the trees and they transmit their deep connection to the earth and to the heavens. And so his little affirmation for the day is, the kingdom of heaven dwells at the center of my being and is always available to me. Just a simple little act like that. I find this kingdom of wholeness, Thomas or Michael, right at the center of my being. Can I turn to that in every moment? And then the next day on the 8th, he says, our consciousness then is the gateway. The gateway. We're launching us into the gateway. Ernest Holmes says, we experience this kingdom to the degree that we become conscious of it. So as simple as that is, we have to become aware of it. And he says this kingdom that Holmes is speaking about is not bestowed upon us. Rather, it is realized in proportion to the awareness that we have of it. And awareness is the Lord of everything, said the Buddha. So when we become that, this presence is always there, and you can see it in the smallest of things. That's why it's nice to go for a walk in nature, because it's blooming everywhere. I was standing in the front yard, a hummingbird was flying all around my face, and I just stopped, and there's these two birds nesting on the front porch. Trey thinks they're making a mess because they're not doing the nest the way the nest should be made in his idea. But no, they're just making a big old messy nest, the two of them. And I said, let them do what they do. And this is their home too. The depth to which I experience my divine nature, he says, is determined by my willingness to release my smaller self and to give way to that ever greater capacity of a spiritual essence. So I die daily to be born again in thee. Whatever the obstacle is, I see the opportunity that's waiting to shine right through. And the little affirmation, ultimately, then we expand our consciousness to where our outer lives become like the kingdom of heaven that is within us. You see it everywhere, Barbara. It's not hiding anymore. And the affirmation for that day is, today I acknowledge that heaven exists within me and I manifest it in every aspect of my life. So he's taking these simple little ideas on a daily basis and plugging them into our direct experience so that we might make that shift. The theme for this month is we are the one that we've been looking for. We're looking for this one that is connected to source. And it's always been there, but too much of our lives have been driven by the local self, the me person. And when you let go of the me person, you can discover that we are all the same. And then you arrive that it is all the one life. So we're evolving into a recognition of oneness. And it's necessary. You know, when you're younger, yeah, you think you're separate and you want to be the overachiever. And I was that. I was first in my class. It wasn't enough to get an A. I had to have a perfect score. I would run to the principal's office. I was a little bit of a crazy kid. Oh, and look who's speaking of crazy kids. Y'all come on in. Good to see you. And the unity of all life. This is Ernest Holmes saying, we believe in the unity of all life. There aren't two, there's only one. And he says, one divine presence with all capital letters is expressing itself through every aspect of creation. Is that too big of a vision, Thomas, for people to see that it's all the one life? It's all the one life. Look at yourself. It's all around you. Water. We all need water, don't we? We need air. He is saying all of existence is the expression of one source. It causes all things to be invisibly interconnected. Nothing exists outside of this unity consciousness. Ooh. And when we embrace this understanding, our awareness of life completely changes. We no longer have a power for good and a power for evil and a place to shove the ones that don't behave and another place to exalt those that no. It's a completely different game. When we embrace this understanding, our awareness of life changes. We can never again use the adage, there but for the grace of God go I. Our new reality becomes there go I. All there is the I. We have a little sign in our classroom that says, I am here. And in my class on non-duality, he talks about the affirmation that you need to say is, I am here. The I am is here right now. It's there, it's there, it's there. It's all the I am. The name for God is the I am that I am. So we can shift out of that power in the sky that has judgment into the I am that we all are. He goes on to explain this. We become more sensitive to how we impact our planet and the way we use our resources, how we relate to those that we have long called enemies, and how we see the world differently in so many other ways. We see our planet as sacred. She's part of the universe, the one life. Living in unity becomes a spiritual quest for expressing cosmic love and expressing greater depths of personal responsibility. You know, I'm an environmentalist, and not just for America, but for the whole universe. Now, I can't wait to go to Iceland someday and Greenland. I hope we don't do what, anyway. Rather than living in a fragmented perception of life, we are now aligning ourselves to thoughts, words, and actions with a deeper sense of oneness and wholeness. We're part of the universe. Holy cow, isn't that glorious? Our very existence expresses as one living reality to which we all contribute. So we're invited to have a deeper shift of our inner beingness. Oh, that's called the unity of all life. And let me go to this last little one, which is tomorrow. No, I won't go to, I'll go today. God is personal. We believe that God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence. So we have this relationship to this something, Barbara, that's invisible. The same creative intelligence that shapes the cosmos is present within each one of us. Not in our bodies, but at the center of our being. Ooh, it's the breath within the breath. Take a deep breath and feel that. It's that which is always there. Not in our bodies, but at the center of our beingness. And this means it's self-awareness. It becomes the path of divine presence and divine awareness. So the invitation is to have a shift. He says, being divine presence, I accept the truth that this is my intuitive awareness opening up, revealing who I am. Ernest Holmes says, intuition is spirit in the soul of man. So could we have this intuitive awareness of this inner beingness? And his little affirmation at the end of this thing is, I always know what I need to know to reveal the divine essence within my being. I always know what I need to know to reveal this divine essence in my being. So we start off with kind of an intimate checking in to this something that we all share, not as a you got to do this with the finger in the face. No, with a have you tried smiling to what is, to feeling a sense of belonging, even when things seem to be falling apart. That too is grace. That too is good. I learned that from a young man named Jeff Foster when I'd had the heart attack, and I wasn't really supposed to be here because I had the Widowmaker. Only 2% survived. So when I did survive and I was sitting at his feet in Colorado, he talked about sometimes these things happen to wake us up. And so they're a blessing in disguise. And so I got his little book, The Joy of True Meditation, and he talks about this. And he uses a German word called Gelassenheit. He said, in the midst of all the craziness out there, there is this Gelassenheit, this place of deep peace that we can turn to. And that's that guidance system where the presence hangs out, Michael. And here's a little Jeff Foster. He's also the one that gave us the acronym RAIN, R-A-I-N. And he wrote it on the chalkboard. R, recognize what you're experiencing. A, accept it. Don't resist it. I, inquire. What are you trying to show me? And N, you do it in a nurturing, loving way. So whatever you're experiencing, could we embrace it, not resist it? And you know, this lady across the street, she was going on and on yesterday about all her issues. And I said, her name was Pam. I said, I've been a minister for 37 years, and there's one reliable truth that I want to give you, whether you accept it or not. And she said, what is that? I said, if you take the storm on the outside and put it on the inside, you're going to suffer. Oh, well, she had taken the storm on the outside and put it on the inside. And then I said, all suffering is simply a resistance to what is. Oh, and she didn't like to hear that because she was in deep resistance to whatever she was. So, but it was a little Jeff Foster, recognize this is happening, yes. And here's how Jeff puts it. We want and what we don't want. Learning to say yes when we mean yes, and no when we really mean to say no, and that hurts sometimes. Giving us back the responsibility to heal ourselves. So learning that love is not all butterflies and roses and positive feelings. It is work as well. It can be a mess, oy vey. It is pain and the courage to breathe through the pain into the joy and the expansiveness of our freedom. So love asks us to become more and more real, more and more human, more and more conscious, and less perfect. We all have that little perfectionist in us, and they can be such a little dictator. More self-aware and willingness to feel. And as we feel more, and then we feel more. And to let our hearts break open sometimes, because our hearts are going to break, Thomas. To know and to not know. To be bored sometimes. To be blissed out sometimes. And to be full of life sometimes. To sometimes not know what's your next step, and then to take it anyway. So he's embrace your humanness. He's big on that. He wrote his book called The Deepest Acceptance. So sometimes life has to kind of fall apart, and sometimes it feels in our country that we're kind of going through that right now. So love is not a feeling state or an experience. It's not a destination. It is an extraordinary light with a capital L that shines from within us. Ooh, love is this extraordinary light that shines from within. Feel into that. It is this radiant knowing that never leaves us, and it is the joy of being alive, the joie de vivre. So can you tap into that light of love, that joie de vivre? That's what we really are. So the invitation is, in the midst of this crazy world, could we go home to that love and to that light? He says, we can know it together, and we can know it alone. We can remind each one of it, and we can forget as well. We can trigger each other, and we can help each other to become curious about those triggers. We can do that work, or we can not do that work. When Jan and I went to Cape Town, South Africa in 1999, the first person that spoke was this woman, a Black woman, and she said, I lost all my children this year to AIDS, and I want you to know that AIDS is not a gay disease here in South Africa. And then she said, I also want you to know that we are all the mother, and these are all our children. And there were so many orphaned children lying in the streets, all of them Black, and the white people told us if you give them money, they're just going to buy drugs. And these children were hungry. And so Jan and I were giving them money and buying them food because we didn't see it. We saw it with our heart, and with the light, and with the sense that they're all our children. It just was a quantum moment for me. We can meet life in love's fire, and we can walk together or not. We can share our hearts. We can step back, or we can step toward. Or we can stay where we are. We can learn to love the dance of life with spontaneity, adventure, and mystery, with the immediacy and the intimacy of it all. And we can also run away. So we're always at choice point. We can either step in or we can run away. He said, learn to unlearn what we know and embrace that unknowing as a new knowing. Ooh, isn't that kind of fun? To let go of the stuff that no longer serves us. We have a little chant that we do in New Thought. I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. And as I'm letting go, I am healed. I am made whole. We're not here to judge each other and what's acceptable. I was watching the gay parades in San Francisco, and I've been married to my husband for 50 years. And it's not an abomination. They're people too, and they're lovely people. And I was so proud that we're out of the closet, at least in San Francisco, and they're loving one another. Get more and more content with the unresolvability of it all. More and more happy with the unhappy ones, and certain about the uncertainty, and so secure within the insecurity. So these are going to be crazy times. We're not here to fix the world, Judy Graff, but we're here to accept the world. I know she's rolling her eyes because she went to the University of Nebraska where Trey went. More and more blissed out at a lack of bliss in the world. Less and less solid, and more playful. You got to have a sense of humor, more and more playful. Now, he said, less and less solid, more and more playful, less a seeker of love, and more a giver of love, and also a finder of this love. And then the wild presence with a capital P that invites others into the same joy will show up. You know, I love it when I get here early and Bob comes in. I just feel like he's a little brother to me. The love comes and Kelly comes and she radiates that love. What if we're just here bringing love to one another? And he says, and this is love's adventure in each and every moment of our lives. This is love's adventure in each and every moment of our lives. So the last one I wanted to share with you is my spiritual lover. And his name is John O'Donohue. He's a Catholic from Ireland who left the Catholic Church because there was too much sin there. And then he became a poet and a preacher. He wrote the Anam Cara. And this is his last book. At the very end, they do a tribute to him because he died. But it's called Walking in Wonder, the eternal wisdom for the modern world from someone who lives in the light of love. And so this is John O'Donohue. Okay. He says, Meister Eckhart has the lovely idea of Gelassenheit. It's a German word. And even when things go against you and the rhythm of life takes you to an awkward and lonely place, you can still maintain an inner stillness, which is within your soul and will connect you and give you an inviolable sense of belonging and a sense of togetherness. Gelassenheit. You won't get that from a program, but you can awaken it within your soul and within your heart. And so we're invited to go into that Gelassenheit, and he does this little prayer, and it's the doorway to presence. And it says this, awaken now to the mystery of being here and enter into the quiet immensity of this inner presence. Have joy and peace in the temple of your senses and receive encouragement when new frontiers beckon you. Go for a walk in the garden and notice what you'll see. Respond to the call of your gift and the courage to follow its path. Let the flames of truth free you from all sense of falsity. May the warmth of your heart keep this presence of flame within you. Keep your hearts open. May anxiety never linger about you. And may your outer dignity mirror an inner dignity of your soul. Ooh. Take time to celebrate the quiet miracles that seek no attention. The quiet miracles, the smile of a friend. Be consoled in the secret symmetry of your soul. And may we experience each moment as a sacred gift woven around the heart of wonder. Each moment around the heart of wonder. Anyway, where was that? It was on my Zen calendar the other day, and it was John O'Donohue. He says, may my life flow like the river, being surprised along the journey of life. Isn't that what it was, Anastasia? May my life flow like the river, where being surprised is what it's all about on this journey. And so we're on this journey to nowhere, to now here. And could we be surprised that this Sunday it brought us here to experience a sense of inner beingness? And we're always on that river called life. And I'm 77 now. And tomorrow I'll be 77 and a day older. And when you're on that river, could we be surprised? This is the moment. This is where I am. I'm with these people at this stage of involvement, and I'm letting my light shine and your light shine. I think we've got a song about this little light of mine. I'm going to let it shine. Would you like to go into a little bit of that light and love and have a direct experience with Bob and Kelly?
You want to make some noise.
All right. I think everybody needs to stand up for this one.
I
Come on.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the world, all around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Last line. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Woo.
Janet, you want to grab those collection plates and see if anybody wants to give anything? And then I will do a little spiritual mind treatment. Oh, there's that sweet little pup. And so we open to the grace of God, to the givingness of the universe. And as we sow, so shall we reap. And so we give to the source of our spiritual good, knowing that it magnifies within our heart. And so we can't outgive God. And so we give with joy, with gratitude, and with a certainty that as we sow, so shall we reap. And so I'm going to ask Richard to play that knell for me. Oh, a little softer next time. But thank you anyway. Oh, for whom the bell tolls for thee. And it is a gentle reminder to go home to the truth of who we are, to that light, to that love, to that amazing awareness. And we feel fully present in the mystery of belonging to the universe, to the one life. We are here together, not separate, but just like the beams of light, we commingle. And we sing a little song at the end called I am you, you are me, we are one. There is only one here. And we are one in that light, in that love. in that awareness. So that doesn't diminish the individual that you and each one of us is. Rather, it expands us. Thich Nhat Hanh uses that word interbeingness. He says we inter-are. We are the one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. And we've changed God into a much bigger idea. What was the GOD, Anastasia? The great outdoors. The glory, the grace of the divine. And as we let that expand within our awareness, there is no spot where God is not. It's all the grace of the divine waking up to itself, and we are that waking up experience. So we breathe in and we breathe out. We have a sense of gratitude, a sense of gratitude. This is the moment. This is the moment. And we are ready to be who we are. The affirmation for life is I am here. Say that with me. I am here. The I am is here right now, ready to express, to reveal, to share, to be. Take a deep integrating breath. Give a sigh for the divine. And now we're going to make a little circle, and we're going to reaffirm